What's up, y'all? We are here for Love is Blind, episode 1. The pods are open and we're going to get right on into it. I'm not going to do too much of the talking. If you have not already, I kind of did an analysis for the cast from their bios, so I'm not going to really get too much into their stories from their bios and stuff. We're just going to jump right on into the episode. But if you're new here, please subscribe because I'm going to be here all season. I'm going to try and get the episodes out every single day as I can. I work a full-time job, so I can't do it all day. But I'm going to try and get them out at least once a day, maybe 2 a day on the weekend. But, we got six episodes to get through. Please leave the spoilers outside of the comments. Don't even tell me about it if you're past this episode already. But enough of me ranting. Let's go ahead and get on into it. All right. So the episode starts off with the boys pretty much singing Ain't No Mountain High Enough by Marvin Gaye. I was acting like I didn't see this trailer. They kind of showed like a season preview of the trailer. For the season itself, I tried not to watch it, so I didn't see anything, see the couples, whatever. But Nick and Vanessa Lachey, they come in to welcome everybody to the experience. Everybody's giving their answers as to what made them come there. Like, what made you come here? They say it. The one I really wanted to talk about was Hannah. Hannah, she quit her job to come there for love. I said she must be making some type of money, like some good money for you to quit your job at 26 to come here to find love. I mean, we all want to find love, but I don't know if I'm willing to put myself in a financial bind to do that. But the pod's open. We get a quick montage of everybody kind of having like little quick conversations with certain people. And then we finally get into I'm going to call it right now, they're my favorite couple right now. And I hope they make it through the pods. I hope they make it down the altar with no issues. Please be that couple that makes it with no issues because they just seem so genuine. I like both of their vibes. They have such a good connection. I'm talking about Ashley A and Tyler. She's beautiful. She's absolutely beautiful. She said she always wanted to get married because her parents have been divorced and they got divorced when she was 6 years old. Her mom remarried after and it still didn't work. So she just wants to be married. Like she's always said she wants to be the one to get married and stay married. That's how I am. I feel the same way. Whenever I do propose, that's it. I'm going to know for sure that that's my one. But he's nervous when he meets her because they go into the pods. He's nervous when he meets her. He lets her know that he's nervous. And she's like, you don't need to be. I'm easy to talk to. And you can tell she is easy to talk to. And we'll get to it because it's been proven that she is. And she's like, you shouldn't be nervous around me. He mentions how calming her voice is, which it is. They start making small talk. She's a foodie. He likes to eat. He likes to cook. She likes to cook. So they're just matching on commonalities. They have a lot of good things in common. But she mentions in her little interview that she likes that he's nervous. She found that attractive because he had things that he wanted to ask her, but he told her, like, I'm so nervous, I forgot everything I wanted to ask you. But they start talking about work and everything. They're connecting on their will to pay it forward in the community. They have a very, very common, they have a lot of things in common, like a lot of things that they naturally want to do. They actually have the same goals and the same wills to do certain things. But he ends up asking her, like, about kids, like, what do you want? Do you want kids? And she's like, yeah, I want kids. And she said the ideal thing for her would be to leave out of here with her man. And he said, you're going to leave with your man. Pretty much letting her know you're going to be leaving with me. He's stamping it right then and there. And she loves his nervousness. She finds it attractive when men can be vulnerable and be themselves. And she definitely gave him the floor to be himself. And he felt comfortable around her. And we'll get to it later on. But that's why I like these two. They feel genuine, and for them to hit it off immediately, and he already let his walls down with her too, really, really quick, is good to see. It's good to see. But we then meet Nick D, the ex-football player. He's got a montage of him talking to all the women. He is a smooth talker. He knows how to communicate with women. It's pretty clear. He's a Commander fan. If you don't know me, and this is your first time seeing me, so am I. But we find out that he was a kicker and a punter. He didn't play in the NFL, but he played in the CFL. So he's good. He's good. But we then get a scene with him and Hannah. Hannah is the 26-year-old. They have a natural flow of conversation. Like, her body language is kind of flirtatious. In her little moment with him, she's kind of sitting back. She's kind of like doing little quirks as if he's actually sitting there watching her, which is funny because you can tell she actually is really attracted to him just by energy. Like, his energy is giving her what she normally would like. At least it seems like to me. But they both talk about how they both want to meet their soulmate. He then ends up asking her why she's there, and she said, I can't find love on the couch, aka like, I'm always at home, I'm a homebody. He then asks her, she's a swiper, aka do you use dating apps? And she says no, but it's too overwhelming. I feel the same way. Like, I really don't like dating apps either. But he ends up telling her that she has a pretty voice, asks her where she's from, and he says she pretty much sounds like she's Southern. She lets him know that she's from West Virginia. She was the cheerleader. He lets her know that he was a kicker and a punter. Obviously, the football player and the cheerleader would make sense. He then lets her know that real estate kind of fell into his lap, and he kind of honestly would choose to be an athlete, but real estate just fell in his lap. It's working right for him. They're subtly flirting. There's a lot of good vibes between these two naturally. I feel like this is something that she probably would go for in the outside world if he 100% would go for her. So I feel like in terms of he's the bad, the later on conversation she has is the good. And I feel like she's going to go with the one that she probably shouldn't go with and leave the one that she should go with here. But we'll get to him too, because I don't know about him either. These two, I don't really know how I feel about these two right now. Like Hannah and Nick D, I don't know how I feel about them both as a person, as people, because I feel like both of them have traits and concerns about each other that, well, at least I know she voiced her concerns with him, but he really didn't voice any concerns with her. But I'll elaborate on my concerns with both of them. But Hannah feels like it's going to be hard to find your one because people are superficial. Most people don't get to know who she really is most times. When she said that, I'm going to elaborate on what I mean by that, but that's one of the things about her that I'm concerned about with this experience. But then we get a scene with her talking to Leo. They start talking about his career as an art dealer. She then lets him know that she pretty much wants to travel, do adventurous things. He loves it. He's interested in doing that as well. He wants to try everything. They start connecting on having like a wide palate when they like to eat, like to try all different types of foods. He says, like, if we get married, going out to dinner and like the little things that we like is very, very important in a relationship. She agrees. I also agree. Like, knowing those little things that y'all like to do is super important, because when you as a man planning dates and stuff, you should know what your woman likes to do. The little things that she likes to do is going to go a long way with her. So like if you remember certain little things that she don't really talk too much about, but you already paid attention to the fact that she actually really likes that, that's going to go a long way with her. But good that they like to pick up on, and they both picked up on that. But he then tells her straight up that he likes her because time is short in these pies. He's pretty much letting her know, yeah, I'm interested in you. And she pretty much says the same thing as well. But like I said, I feel like out of the two, Hannah's got Nick D and Leo. I feel like Leo is probably the best fit for her. I do. I feel like he's the one I feel like will genuinely love her for her. I do. Nick, the jury's out on him, because I feel like he might be running that game on all of us that might be falling for it. But I feel like he might be genuinely there trying to be with the experience. Like, I feel like he still got the fit. We're gonna get to it. I'm kind of jumping the gun, but we're gonna keep on moving. Leo talks about how he inherited the family business that they had, and it's very, very successful. His biggest insecurity is a girl only wanting him for his money. We then go to Leo and Brittany. Brittany is a gold digger, the one that will want you for your money, if you ask me. He tells her that he likes her voice. I don't like it. Her voice is quite aggravating to me. But he says that he's a planner, pretty much lets her know, like, I like to plan things. She said, I love that one of us has a brain. She's pretty much playing like this little dumb role. I don't think she's as stupid as she wants us to believe she is. But we get to know a little bit about her. She wants to essentially be a trophy wife. She wants to be at home, doing whatever, shopping, doing whatever. She don't want to cook. It sounds like she don't want to clean. She just wants to be pampered. That's just really what that is. That's not my type of woman. Like, I want to provide for you. I want to spoil you, but I don't want you just, like, come on. You got to do something. But she said that she feels like she could seduce any of the men to fall in love with her and marry her. And she says, I don't want to live a working life. She said a lot of women like to be on that boss bitch shit, but that's just not me. She wants to be taken care of. I hope she finds what she's looking for, but she wants the man to cook because she hates cooking. I said, so what you gonna do then? Like, if I gotta go to work and come home and cook. What you doing? Like, what are you doing? But then we get a little scene with Brittany and Garrett. She tells him about what she does for work. He's pretty much telling her about him being a physicist, and she's stating that she realizes that she now needs to go back to school because she normally will pull out her phone and Google that stuff. She can't even spell it. But Garrett, we learned about him. He's always working. He feels like this is his opportunity to kind of fully engulf himself in prioritizing love because, for the most part, he prioritizes his work life. So we get a scene with him and Taylor. Taylor asked to call him G, and he says, like, normally people call him that. So that kind of, like, caught him off guard. Like, damn, you calling me something that people normally do. They start connecting on their hooping backgrounds. Both of them like sports. She played basketball in high school. She ended up injuring herself, tearing 2 ligaments, crazy, in her ankle. But she's been scared to play basketball for real, since then. And she jokes about, like, if the YMCA had a 40-plus league, he goes, wait, like, how old are you? Like, when she said a 40-plus league, I would have probably thought the same thing. Like, how old are you really? Like, 40-plus? Like, why are you saying 40-plus if you ain't really 40-plus? But she's like, no, I ain't that old. But they start connecting on their studies and stuff. Both of them are smart. Sounds like they like science and math, not me. I was more English and history. But he starts talking about how he, growing up, wanted to achieve so much, which might be why he hasn't been in a relationship for a long time, because it seems like his priorities are more so on kind of just being successful, which is not a bad thing. You should want to be successful. But he said he doesn't want to keep doing this and realizing, like, damn, I might have wasted so much time trying to do all of this that matters but doesn't really matter at the end of the day if you really prioritize wanting to find somebody and being in love. So she ends up telling him, like, relationships are about working on keeping them together. That is true. But he then tells her that he liked their conversation. She starts smiling and she feels like she made an instant connection with him. The men and women, they gather in their individual headquarters. So they're pretty much kind of like having conversations about their first conversations in the pod. Tyler and Ashley A, they are already raving about each other. They already feel good about each other so far. Garrett's talking about the commonalities between him and Taylor. Nick D has Hannah on the top of his list. The girls are talking about how much of a smooth talker Nick is, and Hannah's like, he's sultry and he'll probably ruin my life. At least she knows that. She's self-aware. We'll see if she actually continues to be self-aware. But she's got, like, more, like I said, I feel like she's got more flirtatious vibes with Nick D. She's more attracted to him, which is crazy to say considering the fact that she don't see him. But you could be attracted to somebody without even seeing him. You can be attracted emotionally. And I feel like it's more sexually charged. They flirt a lot. And you can tell she kind of already feels that vibe with him before even knowing. And I feel like she's more homey vibes, like more like wifely type, possibly, with Leo. But the next day, they're cooking breakfast and stuff. The bacon looked good. That bacon that they were sizzling up looked good. But Tim starts talking about how he feels that he's always had a hard time feeling understood by the women he's interested in. He said he used to be a dog back in the day, a.k.a. he used to be out there. You know what I'm talking about. But he came in here to find his wife and the mother of his kids. So it sounds like he's had his past, hoeing around, and now he wants to strap down and actually find his woman and build a family. That's good, Tim. That's good, Tim. But we move to him and Alex having a conversation. They have their first conversation that we see. She's big in astrology. I like her personality. She's beautiful as well. She said, I'm big in astrology, but I don't want to scare you. AKA, like, I know a lot of stuff about signs, the way certain people act, and then we start finding out what their signs are. She's a Leo, as am I. He's a Virgo. He lets her know that he has a lion tattooed on him because he appreciates the leadership of a lion. He wants to get a lioness tattoo close to him. I guess close to the lion because, you know, a lion and their lioness. So he then proceeds to ask her, like, what's the biggest difference between a serious relationship and a prospect of marriage for you? Like, for you, what does that mean to you? She ends up saying, obviously, first thing is the ring. Of course, she would say that. She says, I'm very spiritual, and she feels like in a marriage, it's better. What did she say? She says, it feels like when you're in a marriage, it's for the better. It's for the better and for the worse before God. I think that's what she said. Regardless, pretty much saying, like, we're in this together and we're going to do it in the name of God. But both of her parents, we find out both of her parents have MS, which is really sad. That's really, really sad. MS, a lot of people that I know that have had MS and a lot of people that I've seen that have had MS, it's a struggle. It's a struggle and it's hard. But her dad and her stepmom, they've been married for 25 years. And this story between both of her parents having MS, they have two different contrasts. Like her dad has a stepmother her dad, his wife, who is her stepmother. They've been together for 25 years. She says she's pretty much a saint. She really cares for him. She said her dad is 6'2". He falls a lot, and she just really takes care of him. And with him being 6'2", she's like really having to really be that person for him. And she says her mom, she never married after she was in a 15-year relationship with a man. And when her MS got super bad and she was in a cane, he left her. I'm like, you a bitch ass nigga. Like, that's crazy. Like, for you to literally leave your woman because she needs you. That's what you're there for. As a man, you're supposed to take care of your woman. But that was sad. And she said that kind of showed her how important marriage is, because her mom didn't have somebody. And I think she's taken the fact that she was in a 15-year relationship with this man and they were not even married as like, if you don't want to put a ring on my finger, you really don't really care for me like that. Because you see how my dad is with his wife. They're married and it's to death do its part, essentially. And she said that showed how important it was, like how important marriage is to her. But Tim ends up saying like he couldn't ask more from his parents because he looks at them and they've shown him everything to do. Like, that's the right way to do it. They've been the best example for him. He then lets her know that he's seen a lot of bad days in his life. And we find out that he had two sisters, his only two siblings, and both of them have passed. That is sad as well. He was a little brother, so they were his big sisters. He tells her, like, I took a lot from them. I took certain things from them that I still live through in my day-to-day life. And he says a lot of his life was defined by death. And his word is bond, and he means everything that he says. And he doesn't want to get married to just get married. He wants to die married. And she's sitting there smiling, and it's good. Like, we got the two scenes with the two black men. These black men are actually getting vulnerable. I haven't seen too many seasons of this show, but from what I see here, it's very good to see that. And it's like a trend, because if y'all didn't watch Love Island this past season, Cordell was also the same way. Very in tune with his emotions and his feelings. But we get back to the guys. Tyler is already feeling in his feelings about Ashley A. Like, he's really starting to feel those feelings for her. And we get a little scene with them where she pretty much asks him how he feels about sharing passwords. And he says, you can have it. Like, you're mine, essentially everything that I have nothing to hide from you. If you need my password to make you feel secure, you can have it. I feel the same way. I feel like there should be nothing in a relationship that should be hidden. Like, when I get in a relationship, you can have my passcodes too, because I ain't got nothing to hide from you. Like, I ain't got nothing to hide from you. I don't need your passcodes, but if you want to give it to me, it is what it is. I trust you. And that's what it should be. And she liked that. She liked that answer that he gave her. We get back to Leo and Brittany. Funny. Brittany ends up asking, like, what was your first impression of me? And he says, fun and bubbly. She lets him know that she has a high pain tolerance because she imagines her mother passing away, because her mother had passed. And she says, like, how painful that must have been. Like, if she can go through passing away, I can go through anything in life. She took a very, very sad moment and turned it into a moment of strength. Honestly, if I look at it that way, I never thought of something like that. But to literally sit and think about it that way, it's pretty endearing for her. Like, she seems like, or at least she might want us to believe that she's kind of ditzy and stuff. But I feel like she could be a little deep if she wants to be. We'll see if it happens. But that was low key kind of deep to me. But her mom always told her as a child she couldn't wait to see who she ended up with and what she is and what she would do in her life. But Brittany then brings up how she thinks it's cool how he took over his family business. Leo then brings up how at 30, he doesn't have to worry about money at all. He's really fortunate about it. Even though it's comfortable to talk about, he talks about how well off he grew. And how he grew up. Like, he grew up very well off. He didn't really have to worry about money and stuff. He then brings up how his family tragedies led to the inheritances that he has within that business. Like, he lost so many people at so many times, which is sad, though. It's sad the way he came up on this money. Of course, it's very sad. Like, it's not something that you're like, oh, I got all this money because my parents and my family passed. That's sad. But he's talking a lot about this money. It's like I'm like, I don't know if I want to feel bad for him. No, I feel bad for him losing his family, but it's just like he's always talking about this money. When I say I don't know if I want to feel bad for him, it's because of the way he's talking about how he doesn't want women to only want him for his money, but that's all you talking about is your money. I know that's a part of your story with you inheriting your family business. It's super successful, which is great. But what else is there? I feel like this whole episode, I feel like we didn't learn too much about him besides his family business and him being wealthy. But he then brings up that the business is very successful. Brittany's gold digging ass hurt. Them ears perked up. She lightened up. She sat up a little bit more comfortably. I was like, this gold digger done heard it. She said, I'm a trophy wife now. But she then tells him, you open the front door for me to ask this question that I've been feeling anxiety about. I'm like, damn, here she go. She then brings up the 50-50 question. She put her drink down, sat back, pushed her hair back and everything. I'm like, okay, she done got comfortable now because now she know he got some money. And let's hear if he going to tell me what I want you to tell me. So she then asked him, in a marriage, how would you foot the bill? He says he doesn't believe in paying all of it, but he also doesn't believe in 50-50 if he's making more. But he likes both people paying something because it symbolizes that both people are invested. I agree with that to a certain degree. Like I said, my parents, if y'all didn't watch the analysis, my parents, they essentially go 50-50. I wouldn't even say 50-50. It's just something that they don't really talk about. My dad provides for my mom, but my mom is so independent that she doesn't really need his money and she doesn't really need him to pay for everything. Like they go and they like the mortgages and stuff, the bills and stuff. From what I know, they've always chipped in together, which would be ideal for me. But I'm the type of person, if that doesn't work, I want to provide. That's number one. End all be all. I want to provide. I don't want you providing for me. That's number one. I don't want a woman paying for my life. If it don't be 50-50, it's going to be me probably going like 80-20. That's me. But she's relieved because most of the guys there that she's had conversations with are pretty much on a 50-50, which is not, I mean, I don't see an issue with that. Like, I don't understand why a lot of women act like going 50-50 with a man is so hard. I don't know why, but to each his own. That's a woman, not for me though. But she doesn't want that. She's talking about her hair and shopping and workout classes that all cost a lot of money. I'm like, yeah, then get a job. Like, all of that is perks and stuff. Me, as your man, I can definitely spoil you. I can get you gifts and stuff. I can pay for you to go do certain things. But like Tammy Talks says, shout out to Tammy Talks, that is a luxury. That is not something that you should always expect, I think. Like, sometimes you as a woman, you should want to be able to have your own too. I know you want to have a man that's going to provide for you, which is great, and that's what should happen. But like everything, like you can't do something like on your own. That's crazy to me. But she says her last relationship, she was fully taken care of, which is why she feels that way. So, I mean, if that's what it was, and that's what it was, she knows what she wants, and if she can find it, good for her. But it was awkward silence. He says one thing that he's most insecure about is a woman wanting him just for his money. I said, then you need to stop leading with it, because that's all you do is talk about your money. Like, you literally talking to a gold digger. She literally wants to hear that. But he then wants to make sure that if anything happens, she'd still be there for him and still be there with him. Like, pretty much saying, if I lost all my money, I would at least want you to still be here with me to let me know that you actually do love me for me, which is valid. It's a valid concern. But they start talking about baby names. She's got baby names already picked out and everything. His last name is Brody. She says my nickname would be BB because she would be Brittany Brody. And she loves it. He says it's cute. And she said, I know, I'm obsessed. He then starts talking about his inheritance business with the boys back there. So he's still talking about the business. He's still talking about how successful it is. He's still talking about the money. I don't know if this is the first time he's had this conversation with them. It could be. But if it isn't and you still talking about it, like, you bragging. You're very braggadocious. But he starts explaining his worry about women always wanting him for money. Exactly. Like I said, like, that's all you talk about. Like, what you want? But then he then talks about how he loves how curious Hannah is about learning and wanting to know things. And he's starting to feel a connection with her, but he's also feeling a connection with Brittany. We then get another scene with Leo and Hannah. He's pretty much telling her, like, you were in a dream of mine last night, which is crazy because I don't even know what you look like. She's like, that's wild. She's eating it up low key. Probably high key, I should say. But he goes into detail with the dream. She's talking about how special she feels. He then also brings up how she hasn't asked a million questions about his job. Here he goes, still talking about this damn job. But he says that he doesn't want his job to define him. Like, you don't want it to define you, but this whole episode, all we know of you is your job. Like, come on. But Hannah actually seems, he's pretty much saying like she actually seems like she wants to get to know him. And he feels like Hannah is the most mature in the house, even though she's the youngest one there. I don't think so. At least from this episode alone, Ashley A is definitely the most mature woman in the house. From episode 1, the most mature male is definitely Tyler, from what I can tell from episode 1. But she talks about her fear of dying, which I completely relate to. I don't want to die, but we all know it's going to happen one day. Just fingers crossed, it's no time soon. But they start talking about how they love to be vampires and live on forever. He then starts saying like one of the things that most attracted him to her is that she's smart. Like, they agreed that they could possibly be twin flames. They got a lot of things in common. Like I said, I feel like these two are probably better for Hannah than she is with Nick D. But she says, like, in her interviews that he makes her feel alive, but she's still open to exploring new relationships. So the next day we have another day of conversations, and Nick D is with Hannah again. And he's pretty much telling her to describe what she's wearing. Here he goes talking about the looks now, because if you don't remember in the bios, he's talking about how he's always been about physicality. So she starts describing himself. He's pretty much saying like herself, and he's pretty much saying like, what you describing, you kind of got this sexy librarian look going on. She said that's kind of essentially what it is. He then starts telling her that he would love to take her out and show her off, still about the looks. He then starts running down off the notes about her being a cheerleader. They start talking about being Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce Part 2. Throw up. I can't stand either one of them. But Nick then starts talking about how his celebrity crush was Beyonce and is now Scarlett Johansson. I said, that's a contrast. You go from Beyonce to Scarlett Johansson. Both of them are beautiful, though. But okay. Hers is Henry Cavill, Superman. And he ends up saying that he looks just like him. Still talking about looks. But she said that she feels like she knows what he looks like, but doesn't want to know. I'm watching her now. I don't know if y'all noticed it, but like, I'm a very big body linguist. I look at people's body language, and you could tell she started to get more and more uncomfortable the more he started talking about looks. And when I say this, I feel like she is insecure about her looks. And I don't know why she would be, because I don't think she's an ugly girl. She's a beautiful girl. Obviously, she's not thin. But to me, I don't think being super skinny and thin is attractive. Like, I love a woman that has something on her. Like, you got to have something to grab. But being super thin is not, to me, that's not super attractive. But you can tell that might be a little insecurity that she might have. But, where did it go? Where did I go? I just scrolled too far. But he ends up saying that he looks good for his woman. Pretty much saying like because when she said she don't want to know what he looks like, he said, I look good for my woman. Her body language, she's still starting to give it off. Like, I'm very uncomfortable. But they start talking about babies, talking about what if they had babies and they're ugly. And she says some babies are ugly. I'm not going to lie to you. Some of them are. And I would never say it to them, but they are. But he then starts talking about how he can get like this motherly vibe from her. And he can't wait to hold her and experience life with her. Pretty much kind of reassuring her that he's actually really interested in her. He then asks her if she has a couple cute bathing suits picked out, which I don't think this particular comment, which she then brings up later on, I don't feel like this particular comment, as I'm thinking about it, I'm kind of taking my mind back to where I was about to go. I didn't feel like in the moment him asking her about cute bathing suits was him like focusing on looks, even though bathing suit is a look. But it's like, I felt like this was a conversation starter with him trying to make her feel good. I do. Y'all tell me how y'all felt about that comment. But he's stating that he'll compliment her a lot and he'll grab on her a lot. If he feels she looks really, really good, he's going to make sure that she feels beautiful. And she low-key was liking it. He said that he doesn't need to know what she looks like because she's sexy to him regardless. Her body language is very concerning. But Hannah is now talking to the girls, and she's saying that she feels like Nick is a lot deeper than what most people think that he is. She then says like he might be the love of her life, and Marissa ends up saying, Hannah, that man is not the love of your life. I'm like, damn, you don't know that he might be. But Garrett and Taylor, they're playing chess now, and she thanks him for picking up on that because apparently she likes playing chess, and it means a lot to her. He then lets her know that he was blown away by how much he actually cares about her and how much of a connection they already have. She feels the same, and he then tells her he's excited about talking about what potential life could look like for them outside of the pods and outside of the experience. He then asks her about her parents, and she starts saying they're amazing and are super kind. Her dad is very handy. He taught her a lot of things. He builds a lot. She doesn't know if she wants to have kids soon, though. But she does want to have kids, and she can't wait to see her dad as a granddad. She then starts talking about her mom, says she's a gangster. She said everybody calls her by her first name, and it's because it's so great. The name is so great. Naturally, he says, like, her first name is great. Like, I'd have been like, so what's her first name if it's so great? Like, I don't feel like that was a bad thing. But she then ends up saying yes, but you won't call her by her first name. Obviously, he shouldn't. Like, if you're respectful, you shouldn't. But I would like to know what her name is since it's so great. But she then ends up saying the first name gives away her ethnicity. So I'm like, maybe it's an Asian name or a name that most Asian people would name their children. And I'm like, okay. He then says like her ethnicity never crossed his mind, but he's only ever dated white girls and it's a new experience for him. And I'm like, ethnicity never crossed your mind. It's like, I put myself in their shoes. I'm like, how would I react in that situation? Me, I feel like I'm the type of person that can tell just from somebody's voice. I feel like I can tell what race you are. Like, I can immediately tell when I'm talking to somebody black. I can immediately tell when I'm talking to somebody white. Like, in customer service, when I talk to customers and stuff over the phone, I can tell what race you are just from your voice. So I'm like, maybe he didn't know. Maybe he didn't know. But who cares? Like, that's what you're here for. You here to literally fall in love with the person in here. But he ends up telling her, like, it's a new experience for him, like possibly dating outside of his race. He ends up telling her that she's calculated about what she says, which I do agree with him. She does kind of give off calculated vibes. Like, some of the things that she says is very, very careful. And he says he loves that about her, but it's also like, what are you hiding? Like, you're kind of telling me what you want to tell me, as opposed to telling me, like, what's really going on. And she says, you can tell, wait. No, I said you could tell that he read her body. Like, he just read her. Like, because her body language kind of was like, oh, she kind of froze. And she says that's good feedback, even though it's hard to hear, even though that she's saying that it pretty much comes across as calculated. He then said, it might not be fair, but you talk slow, you're very careful and very methodical. But he doesn't also want her to think that I'm just focusing on wanting to know what your ethnicity is, because I really don't care about that. She then says the reason why she wasn't going to share too much is because it's her opportunity for someone to know who she is without knowing what she looks like. And she wants to make sure that it's an emotional thought process instead of just like everything else going on. And she wants to make sure that her emotions and everything that she's feeling is strictly based off of who she is really feeling in that moment, as opposed to what she's seeing and physically attracted to, or how they would feel vice versa, which is a valid point. But he then states that his feelings are super strong for her, but he needs to know more about her before he makes that next step. Valid. That is very true. She states that she's excited to show more, but she'll be hurt if it doesn't work out, and she gave away what she looks like. And she says she needs to feel that she's enough. That sounds like something she got to work on within herself, though. Because if you don't already feel that you're enough, then that's a problem. Like, you shouldn't be validated by somebody else feeling like you're enough. But she then asks if that's more helpful and less calculating. He says yes. She says she almost kind of wants to tell him what her ethnicity is so they can continue to kind of like build even more. Maybe do it. I don't know. He says he has no idea what she looks like, but it's not something that'll prevent him from wanting to move forward with her. Good. We then get to Tyler and Ashley A. They start talking about how they both were cooking this morning. He lets her know that he made stuffed French toast. She said, what? She was like, because I've never dated a dude that knew how to cook. So he ends up saying that he doesn't believe in roles, pretty much saying like, I want to be a protector, but like, if you don't want to cook some days, I'm going to cook. Like, I'm going to cook, I'm going to clean some dishes. Like, we're going to do whatever it is that we need to do. It's like, I don't live in the 1940s or not. Is it 1940s? I don't live in the 1400s. In the 1940s. Act like y'all didn't hear me say that. Back in the olden days, the traditional days. But he's pretty much saying that. She ends up asking, like, does he have a random talent? He says he's good at a bunch of things, not cocky, not saying it in a cocky way, but he skis. She loves doing that too. They both start connecting on horseback riding, talking about bucket lists. He wants to skydive. She says she's always said that she wants to skydive the day before her wedding because if we can go ahead and take this leap of faith, we can go ahead and do this. And he agreed with her, pretty much saying, like, if we survive that, we should get married. Good vibes between the two of them. I really, really enjoy them. He then starts opening up to her about his upbringing. This was special. He ends up talking about how he grew up struggling. His mom didn't really have much. And she was pretty much a single mother. Her dad disowned her for having kids outside of her race, which it sounds like his mom might be white. She's Serbian. She only had her mom growing up. Well, essentially, when she had her kids, she really only had her mom because her dad disowned her. And like he said, they didn't have much. She was always doing everything for them, putting herself last, giving them all more food than what she could consume and stuff like that. Just raising 3 kids alone. That's what a single mother typically ends up doing, which is sad that they have to, but that's how moms do. They do it that way. But he ends up saying, well, a good mom does. But he ends up saying that when he was 9 years old, she sat them down and pretty much let them know that his grandmother, which is her mother, had found out that she had cancer and she later passed. He starts getting emotional. Like, he starts getting teary-eyed. And Ashley was giving him the time to speak. Like, she was letting him feel comfortable to really continue to open up to her, which was special. That's why I was like, I really, really like these two together and I hope they work. But she starts getting emotional the more he starts talking, obviously, because it's a sad story. But he says the hardest thing for him was not knowing how to console his mom. He said he was so young. He didn't know how much it meant for her to have someone actually there for her, because her mom was all she really had that she could really like trust and lean into, because they were kids, they were younger. And he feels like maybe if he could have done that, but he was younger though, so he doesn't really know. But you could tell you could kind of still eats at him that he wasn't able to really be there fully emotionally for her. But you were a kid. But they both start getting emotional. He starts talking about how she pretty much cried at random nights and they could see it all over her face sometimes. She was just going through it. And she just didn't have her mom and she didn't have her dad because he pretty much disowned her, which is sad. But he ends up saying that he wanted to have a big family one day. He's always wanted to have a big family where he can have like grandkids, where they are excited to come over to his house and spend time with him. Ashley was not saying too much, but she was saying a lot by allowing him to get that off his chest. She was just being an emotional support system, and she gave that to him, and you could tell she really, really enjoyed it. They are my favorites. Right now, they are my favorites. I hope they get out of here good. But he leaves out the pods, tells the boys he get married. That's the one. He's feeling her, and I love it. But Leo, back talking to the boys about how he and Hannah probably wouldn't find each other on the outside world, whereas he and Brittany probably would. Pretty much saying, like, I might need to entertain Hannah more because Brittany sounds like she might be somebody that I could literally meet on the street. Like, that's the way I took it. Garrett ends up telling him, like, he doesn't think that Nick D even knows that he's even talking to Hannah. Tyler's pretty much letting him know pretty much what I just said. Like, what happened in the past didn't work. Like, if you were typically going to see Brittany on the outside world, entertain Hannah, because you might find something more special than you ever probably would have on the outside world. Pretty much saying, like, he said the same thing. Like, Ashley, she's probably, if she was beautiful and attractive on the outside world, I probably would have continued to talk to her regardless. But we might not have gotten this far. Pretty much saying, like, I wouldn't have opened up this far because I have no choice but to do it. I don't know what you look like, so I'm just being myself. I'm just talking. That's literally what it is. But they're talking about how Brittany's going to be expensive, and Leo's talking about, I got money. I probably should have drank as many. If I drank as many times as he mentioned money this episode, I'd probably be drunk. But the girls, they start talking about Nick D being flirtatious. Hannah saying that she does like him, but she doesn't feel like he has any issue finding women outside of here because he knows how to talk to people. Like, he knows how to talk to women and say what they want, or at least what he thinks they want to hear. I think her insecurity is creeping out because she ends up saying, like, I feel like I got to be perfect for him. I feel like you feel like you have to be perfect for him. I don't feel like he thinks you have to be perfect for him, even though I feel like looks probably do play a factor to him a lot more than he wants to admit on this show. He admitted it in the bio, but on this show, I feel like so. but I feel like she might not feel like she's enough for him. But she pretty much talks about how he objectifies her, saying like he can't wait to see her in a bikini. I pretty much already expressed how I feel about that. But she said that she feels like he's somebody that she wouldn't want to go to sleep with without makeup on. Like I said, that's your insecurity, not his. Like, that's something that you got to work out. She's going to later tell him about himself, but I feel like she needs to talk to herself too. But one of the girls said that's a walking red flag. Hello? If you already feel that way, then you need to cut it off. But let's move to it, because Nick was in there telling one of the boys, well, he's asking all the boys, like, do y'all feel yourself saying I love you in the next couple of days? And Leo said he could. And Nick is pretty much saying Hannah's essentially his number one. So we get to them having their actual pod day. The body language was screaming on Hannah's end. She ends up saying that after a long pause that she has a lot of concerns with him. I said, damn. And he says, why is that? She said, because why are you here? Like, why do you want to do this? She's questioning him now. And I'm glad she's addressing it though, because she could have been insecure and just like bottled it up. She's addressing her issues with him, and I'm glad she did. It just came off kind of like, damn, already. But he says dating hasn't worked out for him in the past, and it's just been first impressions. Like, that's typically what he based a lot of his decisions off of. And he hasn't dated recently because he knows the qualities he's looking for in a person, and it's not looks-wise anymore because he hasn't found it in the past when he's just been looking for looks. But he said he's done a lot of self-reflecting on how his parents and his friends that are getting married are, and it's clear what he was doing wrong. Pretty much saying that I'm here for unconditional love. I want to do it right, and I want to be here sincerely and genuinely. Another long pause. She said, why has it now become clear? You obviously talk about how great you look. You are an ex-college athlete that went pro. I don't think you have trouble finding women in the real world. While that could possibly be true, but like, damn, give this man a chance. Like, give him a chance to at least kind of prove something. I feel like these two are just not meant to be together, because I feel like she's insecure, and I feel like he might be running game on her. I don't know. But they go through a long back and forth where he's kind of pleading his case to her, and she's pretty much kind of saying like, I feel like I might not be enough for you. Essentially, that's what I gathered from it. And he kind of like throws something back in her face saying like, you're pretty much perfect. Like, why are you here? He's now playing that game with her too. But long story short, they didn't. She pretty much told him like, I'm done right now. Essentially, that's what it looks like. And he's pretty much saying like, it sucks because I can see a future with us outside of here, but I get it, and I hope you find the right person. I wish you the best of luck. I think you're beautiful inside and out. He leaves his pod. She goes back to the girls, and they pretty much asking her how it went. And she says she feels bad because he said that she was his person, and he wanted to marry her. As she's doing all this, here come Brittany. Brittany come in here talking about something. I'm about to pee right now. I was like, Leo, and then because who's sitting right there next to Brittany's walking in talking about Leo, who Hannah just cut off Nick D for, essentially, because that's her only other real connection that we know of right now. Brittany is funny. Talking about something, I didn't mean to do that. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. But Hannah's like, see, that was my number one. Leo, shit's getting weird in here. But Nick is over there telling his boys about it. One of the boys, and he was like, that was my girl. Hannah, low-key, is already regretting the decision that she made because she feels like, what if I get over here and Leo ends up dumping me? Follow your heart. That's all I got to say. That's all I got for the episode, 43 minutes. I'm trying to figure out a way to wrap this stuff up without just being on here talking for an hour every night. But I'm going to figure it out. I'm trying to figure out how I want to cover this show because this is the first time I've done it. It's a lot of conversations that are being had, a lot of them with a lot of dialogue. So I'm going to try and figure it out. But if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already subscribed, please do that. If you haven't already thumbs up the video and dropped your comments down below, please do that because I want to hear from y'all. Until tomorrow, because I'm going to try and get the next one out tomorrow. I'll see y'all then. Peace.